Weather Impact Live. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. Happy Friday. Hard to believe Thanksgiving is behind us now. Wow, that's hard to believe. And we've got, what, 2.5 days left of hurricane season, which is done. We don't have to worry about it. And I am thankful for that. That is sure. A sure thing that we didn't get anything. Not only in Florida, we didn't have a hurricane in the Gulf. We didn't have a hurricane make landfall in the United States anywhere this year, which is really saying something. So we'll talk about that coming up just a little bit. Let's talk about the cold air that you probably felt first thing this morning. You can see the beautiful blue skies out there. Yesterday around lunchtime, it was warm, relatively speaking, but man, after sunset and probably about 7, 8 o'clock, it was chilly. And that was the cold air coming in. It's very dry air as well. You can see the 2.25 degrees. That is very dry air. And we don't get that dry air that often here in Tampa Bay and points further south. But it will moderate very quickly starting tomorrow afternoon more than anything else. You can see temperatures now about 58 degrees. We started in the 30s and 40s, most areas in the 40s this morning. But they are basically going to be going up to the mid 60s for daytime highs today. So we're going to be looking at some cooler than average temperatures. 58 right now, you can see in Tampa, but look at the wind. The wind was gusting this morning. Clearwater, St. Pete, and Tampa all had gusts about 30 miles per hour. And you can see right now the latest gust that we've had in Sarasota is at 23. So I think they'll stay about what you see now. Winds in the teens and gusts in the 20s throughout the afternoon. You can see high clouds are leaving us. They're down south here, but that whole line's kind of working its way to the east. And then these are just low clouds that are picked up by the cold air coming in across the relatively warm water. You can tell where the warmer water temperatures are, right? Somewhere in there. And that's because that moisture is starting to get picked up after it gets to where that warm water is. And look, this is the Gulf Stream that you can see right there. All right. So that's kind of like what happens with lake effect snow. And speaking of which, we have some of that. Look what's happening up in the Northeast right now. That cold air coming across those lakes that are not frozen. I mean, that is just a snowmaker machine right there. You see all of that? So that's going to continue. It looks like through tonight for most of those areas, a little bit of a break. And then there's another system, a real system developing. And that's as we get into tomorrow. So you notice today, this is the travel forecast for today. It's not terrible, actually, for most of the Northeast, except for obviously those snow belt regions. You're going to see that. But look what's happening out here out west. You see that snow in Montana? That is a developing low pressure system that by tomorrow afternoon, this is 2 o'clock, that is a bona fide snowstorm right there. Okay, low sitting up in here, warm, moist air coming in up here, cold air wrapping around on the backside. Plus, obviously, there's all this cold air already here. And so you're just throwing that moisture up over top of it. That will mean, I would say anywhere from Chicago area could see, what, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches plus. I think just south of Chicago, they're going to get closer to a foot in some locations as that system moves further to the east. But the problem is that's Saturday, right? That's tomorrow. Sunday is one of the busiest travel days. And look where it goes. It goes into the Northeast on Sunday. And so, yeah, trying to get out of there and fly back to wherever you're headed. I mean, a lot of Tampa folks go up there. That's going to be an issue, I think. It's going to at least slow things down versus cancellations. I think just slowing things down because most of the big cities will see rain. And that is the good news for that. But look at Monday. It definitely quiet things down. So if you can postpone, maybe you want to stay an extra day and then come back on Monday just to avoid all that mess. But you got to get on Monday because here comes Tuesday. And that's colder air, another storm system, all the way up and down the East Coast, including Tampa. We'll have a decent chance for rain on Tuesday. But look at that rain-snow line down towards Philly on Tuesday, and it's very close to New York City. In fact, I think they'll start as rain and probably go over to snow. So, that's going to be more of an impact for the bigger cities on Tuesday as that next system comes in. Here's a look at the snowfall forecast up to the north and the east. You can see the lake effect there. And of course, this all depends on exactly where the wind, which direction the wind blows, how lake effect goes. Excuse me, I got a stuffy nose, but there is the snowstorm itself. All right, that's the big one getting going. That's through Sunday. You can see the Chicago area. Look at that purple that's right there. That's a foot or better. And there'll be some spots that actually get more than that. But you can see a really good swath of 6 to 11-inch snowfall totals there, Wisconsin, Iowa, northern Illinois, and Indiana. And then by the time we get towards Wednesday with the second system that's already come and gone, look at how much snow is forecast to be on the ground. And that helps to keep the air cold, and that helps to get colder air down here if we can get a push of cooler air, right? When that's not seeing snow and it's relatively warm, cold air moving across this and coming down, it slowly moderates because we usually get this air coming down like this. But when you got all this snow on the ground, that's going to make it even colder, and that has a better chance for us to get some chilly air here. Now, let's look at the atmosphere. Let's look at the moisture in the atmosphere, okay? This is today. Let's go out to tomorrow, 9 a.m. Really dry air in place today. It's a little less than that tomorrow. This is the amount of moisture from the ground all the way up, okay? This is like clouds and rain. We ain't getting anything, right? Not today or tomorrow. And then you see as we get into Sunday, 1 o'clock, starting to see a little bit more moisture. We'll go partly cloudy for skies, but look at this moisture building back here. This is ahead of a front. You can see where the front is, right? Front's right in here. Dry air back behind it, warm, moist air out ahead of it, okay? Watch what happens during the day on Sunday. This is 1 o'clock, a little bit of moisture, and then look at Monday into Tuesday. That's Tuesday morning. There's your low pressure center right there, all right? Winds coming around like that. Moisture out ahead of it, cold, dry air back behind it. That is a pretty decent look. With the low being here, this is pretty far to the south versus up here, okay? That's going to help us get a better chance for some rain. So that's why we have a better chance for rain on Tuesday. And then look at the cold air coming back in behind this. And this is, well, I'm showing you moisture and dry air. But when you see that dark, look how dark that is. That's really showing some dry air, okay? So that's going to be coming in Tuesday night and Wednesday. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're close to 80 degrees, right? Mid-70s tomorrow. We warm up quickly, then low 80s. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we're back to the low to mid-70s. I don't think we're quite as cold as what we are today, if you want to call it cold, mid-60s for highs. Probably not that. But then look at this. This is next weekend, and this will change. But that is some seriously dry air. Let me back this up a little bit here. Well, the darker the color, the drier the air, and it's almost black. Look at that coming across Atlanta, most of the East Coast. That is extremely dry air, and some of it gets in here next weekend, late Tuesday or late Saturday into Sunday. And if that is the case, see where it's coming from? That's coming from west of Chicago. You see all that? Over St. Louis, over Alabama, Mississippi, right over Florida. If this happens, and the numbers aren't coming in yet, that would be a very cold air mass as well. So we're talking next weekend at this point. Not forecasting that just yet, but we're getting close to there, okay? Now, this is our forecast for here today and tomorrow. Sunshine, beautiful. Today, northerly winds. Tomorrow, look at that. That's an east to northeast wind. You see that coming in like that? That's a much warmer wind for us and a little bit more humid too. Not that terrible at all, but it's not going to be as dry as today. Now, Sunday, very small chance for a shower. I think I put 10% chance. But Monday, you see that moisture over on the East Coast? Watch it come across. So just a stray shower or two, about 20% chance on Monday. It's not a big deal either way you look at it. But as you go into Tuesday, we start dry in the morning, but here comes that front, and that should give us our best chance for rain in some time, right? And it's been a while. So we desperately need the rain as the drought is getting bad here. Moderate drought for just about everybody. So here's the expected rainfall that you can see here now. We're talking 10% on Sunday. Most of us won't see it. 82 really for a high temperature for the Bucks game. That's looking good. And then you see a 20% chance on Monday. That's that stuff that's coming east to west across the state. Monday's 82, partly cloudy and kind of humid, right? Completely different than today. It's going to be a big change pretty quick. And then Tuesday, of course, is that cold front. And that'll be our best chance. A 30% chance now. I'll probably have to bump that up to about 40 to 50% chance for rain. And then the roller coaster continues for temperatures. Here we go. We're down now. We're coming up tomorrow. Look at Sunday and Monday. These are just forecast or model numbers, not forecasts. And then Tuesday we have the front. And look at that. Behind the front, back into the mid-70s. This is average for this time of the year, to be honest with you. And then we warm right back up on Friday and get ahead of that next front. And the model's already saying that next front does look colder, as I was talking about. So 7-day forecast right now showing a good looking weekend here. Today's mid-60s and sunny, mid-70s tomorrow where we should be for this time of the year. And then Sunday for the Bucks game, 82 degrees under partly cloudy skies and definitely more humid. It's going to feel more like Tampa late tomorrow afternoon and on Sunday.